Hey everyone, in honor of it being a Friday and a Friday night campfire, I figured I would do a quick rendition of one of my favorite Spike classics here. And I'm going to go ahead and read for you The Cremation of Sam McGee. I wish I could say that this was from memory. At one time, I did have it memorized, but I haven't read it in a long time, so I'm actually going to be using a cheat sheet here. But this is for all of you that have ever heard Spike uh, reciting Cremation of Sam McGee. I know he always used to give me grief about it because my parents had moved to Tennessee after I went off to college from Connecticut, and of course, Sam McGee being from Tennessee, he'd always give me that sly little grin that he would give, and maybe a wink or two when he was doing this particular rendition. At some point, I'd love to sit down with Spike and get him to actually do a few of these, the Eagle ceremony and do some of those readings because they're just phenomenal and they're a great part of my memory. So, with that said, here we go: The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert W. Service. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Lebarge, where I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold! Through the parka's fold it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, then the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and, Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess, and if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, It's this cursed cold, and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead, it's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. Now a pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid of because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, You may tax your brawn and your brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow, and on I went though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in, and I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Lebarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then here, says I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium! Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in that glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so, and the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why, and the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I don't know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out, and they danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked. Then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, Please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge, where I cremated Sam McGee. So there's to you, Spike, and to all of you. I hope that brings back a couple of good memories. And like I said, I'd like to be able to get Spike to read that for you. I don't know if people have heard, but Spike is collecting for helping some kids get to a camp. And I know we're all upset about Camp Russell going down, but Spike is still active with helping kids get to a camp experience. And I'm sure I'll get a hold of him and see if I can post information about how to get him some recognition for that. And maybe if people can kind of send him some money for that, I'm sure he would appreciate it. But like I said, I'll try to get that information and maybe put it up on this site if he's willing. But take care, have a great Friday night, and hey, I'll see y'all at the Stumble, Upper Tupper, Lower Saranac.